conversation. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to work with you guys. I'm here today to talk about this amazing experience. I was last year in Brazil, living for 6 months there. And the last month that I was there, I spent my time in Belém, in the COP30. I was there the 11 days. But I also was there for all the pre-COP events. So during my presentation, I will be telling you about other events that I attended, because Brazil was all about COP30, was all about climate change, and the discussion started way earlier than the COP. So that was very exciting. I'm going to share my screen now. Because last night I was taking all the photos that I had taken. And today I'm just going to show all the photos and tell you all about that. So that's the COP30. You can see me there with two friends, those colleagues, actually. They work in Fortaleza Council. And I was also working voluntarily with them, helping their team. They're from the climate change team. And they are members of the C40s, which is a network of local governments. So we went together. I stay in one of the auntie of one of them. So it was a great experience also to stay with locals. And I could get the vibe of the locals, what they were thinking about COP30. So that was an experience in itself. So those are photos of Belém. That's is the city, is close, is the start of the Amazon. So it's very hot. We were getting 30, 35 degrees. It's heaps of trees. I was just talking before we start about the mango trees that they have in the city. You will see mangoes everywhere, which was surprising. It was amazing. The city was very well prepared for the COP. We were nearly 50,000 participants in the COP. I think the number that I got was 47,500 registered participants from 194 countries. And it seems that one was one of the largest COP. When I arrived to the airport, that was what I saw, cars, electric cars with all branded COP. To the right, you will see that that's a very famous or popular restaurant and location. And COP30 was everywhere. And the locals loved it. The locals were saying each other, happy COP30, happy COP. They were so happy to show the traditions, the culture, and the community engagement was amazing. This is an example of one of the events that was happening at night. So COP was 11 days, right? And that's from around 8 to 5:30. And after the 5:30, which is the COP negotiations, there were happening more events. So there were so many events happening every day that I felt like I was in New Year's Eve for 11 days, non-stop, full of people around the places. This is a location where they put some lighting in the in the wall of the building. There was a museum inside. There was a documentary happening close by. Opposite to here, there was consultant organizations providing a talk. So there was very intense and a lot of things happening. So this is a photo of my registration. So I was able to get into the blue zone. So the blue zone is where all the decision-making center is. That's where the negotiations are taking place. And that's controlled by the United Nations. So that's where we get the plenary sessions, the multilateral meetings, the national pavilions, and this is restricted to people that is accredited. So I, as a member of the local government, and my participation with the community, like the forum, for example, I put an application and I was selected. So I was able to enter to this blue zone. And to the right, you will see the electric bus that was taking all these people to the venue. The venue was specifically done for COP30. They didn't have that venue before, so that was impressive. I forgot to say that if you have any questions or any comments, just happy to talk about it, because I don't think I will be able to see the chat. So if Marlene or Joanna, you can help me with some questions that I don't see, please. Next one. Okay. So I love this photo because quickly I learned that in the corridors, you see some important people, and then you can see the media running and to interview someone. I don't even know who was there, but I thought that was the vibe was like everyone was getting crazy about someone that they wanted to interview. Usually the first week are the delegations of New Zealand, and the second week you can see prime ministers or climate change ministers, and the more well-known figures. So this was on the second week. The pavilions, so each country or most of the countries had a pavilion. New Zealand didn't have one because we provided some support for the Moana pavilion. So it was like an arrangement that we did with the Pacific Island that was also receiving support, financial support from Australia. But you can see the big countries' pavilions, and China was very popular. And I thought I would put that because I found very interesting. They were talking all about AI, and they were very popular to provide goodies that for me, it was a bit confronting because it was a long queue, and they were giving away these small panda bears, like keychain. For me, it was a bit of a waste, but I thought that they were very good in the way to attract people to their pavilion by providing all these goodies. It was extremely hot that day. The first days of the COP, the air condition, I don't think it was working. So they were providing these paper fans, and then you could write your name in Chinese, and that's the photo in the right. And that was so popular. Everyone wanted to have a paper fan because it was so hot, and because it was cool to have one with your name written in Chinese. And I included this photo because I wanted to demonstrate and show you how overwhelming it was. So this is just one pavilion. They had QR codes, and the QR codes would take you to the agenda. So you can see in the right, all the agenda for one pavilion, all the different talks. And there were over 150 pavilion in the blue zone. So that was massive, just for me to get my head around where I wanted to be. I wanted to be everywhere at the same time. But I had to choose pavilion. So I took a good 2 days to just go around and make a note of where I felt like it was the most productive place, where I could be, where I could learn. And as I said, this was during the COP hours, during the work hours, but outside there were exactly the same amount of side events happening every time, everywhere in the city. And that's the photo of all the Kiwis that we were there. There was a mix of so people part of the delegation of New Zealand delegation from MPI, MFE. You can see in the center the head of the delegation, New Zealand delegation, and then even Kiwis that were living overseas in UK, but they were representing their companies that and they also were part of the COP. So from different places, different organizations. I believe I was the only one from local government, and everyone was with different objectives there. Some of them, like the people in the New Zealand delegation, it was like their 10 or 15 COP that they have been already. So they knew very well the way around. But for people like me or a couple of others that it was our first COP, we were so lost. I was so lost for the first 2-3 days. I was asking Ali that is in the call, please tell me just how I can get around, how I can see the documents that you guys are discussing today. Where are the links? There are apps, links, and that change every day. Plus the talks, plus the events, plus it's like whoa, but love it. It was a great vibe. So the Minister of Climate Change and the head of the delegations, the minister was there, I think, in 2-3 days by memory in the second week. But the New Zealand delegation had daily meetings with us. We were communicating through WhatsApp or through email, and it was very helpful to sit down for half an hour or an hour, and they were telling us what was the progress of the different negotiations, because they negotiate different topics. And you could ask questions. That was super helpful, and it was a good way to reconnect with the Kiwis, understand what was New Zealand position in different papers or documents. And I thought that the delegation did really well. I could tell that they were constrained on what they were mandated to do, and that's understandable. It's their job. There were a good amount of challenging in the discussions, because there were some politicians there also attending the COP. So I thought that was very helpful. I really enjoyed that. So that's a photo of the green zone. So you know how I tell you that I told you that we were in the blue zone, that was the negotiation side. So it was another in the same venue, just a few meters away. There was the green zone, and the green zone is open to public. You don't need further registrations or submitting a registration. Yeah. So that's designed to bring all the society, academia, indigenous groups, and general public. So you will see the youth there, kids from school when we had one public holiday one day. It was exhibitions, workshops, many NGOs. And then to the right, you will see the Aboriginals. They were in the corridors just selling their stuff. I got these earrings from there. And they were all dressed up in their traditional clothes, and it was just so common to see them, as you can see, they're just walking around, kids, and from different countries, mainly Brazilian, of course. But that was amazing to see. And by talking with people that has attended previous COPs, it seems that this COP there were way more present of Aboriginals than in the previous COPs. I wonder if that was probably because in the location where we were close to the Amazons, where there is a large amount of Aboriginals there. But yeah, and people feel very close to the Amazons, right? So there were many people curious about the Aboriginals and what they were thinking and what their goals and objectives were. The most popular were the Maoris, I have to say. They were performing haka when they were there. So this is a group of 10 rangatahi. They are Te Kahupo Kere. So these are a group of young Maoris that they were the first ever iwi mandated youth delegation to a COP. And they represented the National Iwi Chairs Forum, and they were very engaged to other Aboriginals communities. I could just see them in the corridors discussing with other groups, Aboriginals, solutions to climate crisis. And that presence, I felt like they were the more strategic ones, in my opinion, because they were engaging with the right people. They were having meetings with potential funders, philanthropic organizations. They were very good, very sharp, just straight to the point. This is what we want. Ready with pitching their projects, what they wanted to do. And I think they walk away with funding, from what I read in a newsletter, and they made a mark. And every time that I was there, I could see people running to see the performance, the haka, and the songs. It was very nice, and I felt like very proud. So that's Jacinda Arden. So I met Jacinda the week before the COP in another event in the Earthshoot Award in Rio de Janeiro. So the first time that I met Jacinda, I'm like, oh my God, Jacinda. And then I saw her again in the COP 30. And then I saw her again the third day, the fourth day. So then you get used to see all these famous people. It's like, oh, Jacinda again. Oh, kia ora. So that's great. And she was there in the COP 30 as a special envoy for Oceania. And she was in her role to amplifying the voices and priorities of the Pacific region. So at that time, we didn't know that which country was going to host the COP31. So it was an option that was going to be Australia in collaboration with Pacific Island. At the end, it was Turkey, the country that won hosting the COP31. However, there is a pre-COP event that is going to be in Fiji. So I think that's great. It's very close to New Zealand and will bring the attention of the world to this part of the world and what we are doing. It will attract fundings. I think it will be fantastic. In my walk around all the stands, countries, NGOs and businesses and etc., I thought that this one was very interesting because there were around 4 or 5 stands of nuclear power. And they were their speech was more like, we are here to help you to replace the fossil fuels. We have the capacity. Our energy is powerful, is huge, and you should be considering, because we want the same as you. We want to replace fossil fuels. And I saw one, I'm like, that's not for me. And then I saw another one and another one. I'm like, okay, I will be open and let's see what they have to say. I found that they were very smart and strategic because they chose young people to be part of the stand, and there was a lot of youth there, and they were very well prepared, very articulated, and they were trying to get a friendly conversation of we want to demystify all the bad things that we usually associate the nuclear energy. I'm still to be convinced, to be honest, but I thought that was something to consider, and later I would love to hear your thoughts about that too, because it might be a solution, it might not, who knows. I thought of you a lot. I thought of you of the forum when I saw there were so many activists around. It was the perfect stage to showcase all the claims. So in the corridors, they were just putting these big banners with different topics. Sometimes you can see them performing something or marching or different things. But this one in particular, I really like it because they had some, how do you call this? Like marks, I don't know, stickers that you can mark there in your country. Where did the climate crisis impact you? So you will see a lot in South America, a lot in Africa. I took a photo of what happened in New Zealand, and you can see that Nelson also was there, and it's probably all the flooding events that we had in the past, right? And then you could classify that if that was a heartbreak, a loss, a fear. And then you can see also which countries were not really represented in the COP30. So you can see like a big empty space in sort of US, Canada, and Russia. And the other part of Australia too. So I thought that was interesting as well. This is another example of activists. So this is the entrance of the COP30, and they were everywhere. And I thought that was fantastic because you could engage in conversations with them. They were educating people, local communities, and attendees as well. This one was my favorite. They printed this huge like receipt that was sort of double my height, and they had listed there all the places where a climate change event had happened, and they had to put a dollar figure of how much was the lost after that event. So they had this huge total bill, and let me just move because it's my, oh yeah. So your table is big oil. You were served by short-sighted politicians, added to your bill, denying climate change, denying climate action. So this particular activist group was trying to convey the idea of make the polluters pay. And I thought that was very well done. You can see this in the corridors, and this was just one of many display and attempts for the activists to show different ideas and topics. You could engage with them in conversation. They could, I think the objective of them was to get signatures and get a document, and they were trying to also to persuade and bring into the discussion all these topics. This is the day that we got an award as a New Zealand, and New Zealand got the award, and we were the Fossil of the Day award. So this is for countries who are the best at being the worst and doing the most to do the least. And the award this day went to New Zealand for weakening its methane target in the middle of a methane crisis, all while insisting everything is fine. Those are the words that they use. So the nominations and winners are made by the Climate Action Network. So this ceremony takes place every day at 6 p.m. in the corridors in the venue. I missed the first 2-3 days because I had no idea that they do that. And once I realized, I was there at 6 just for the day that when we got the award. And the person that was giving away the award was asking, is there any Kiwi, any New Zealander that would like to get the award? So I was trying to hide my badge. I didn't want to be there. There was so much media. So you can see that someone finally got the award in behalf of New Zealand. He was not a Kiwi. He was from Greenpeace. Because later I went to him and was like, are you a Kiwi? And he's like, no way, I'm not a Kiwi. I'm just from Greenpeace. I just wanted to receive the award and get the shame. So he was with the award. And when the MC was saying, New Zealand removed the methane target, everyone was like, boo. So it was quite entertaining. And revealing for the other countries as well, and the people from other countries, that they never thought that New Zealand was going to get this kind of award. I was with my colleagues from Brazil, and they were very surprised. They were like, really? I thought that New Zealand was fantastic and was great. So these type of events and awards help to provide another context of what is happening in different countries, and is definitely helping people to have a better perception of different situations in different countries. You could also see different activists, and I love this one because, as I said, it was so hot. So one of the things that they were using was fossil fuel lobbyists go home. So the day that I saw this, I was asking, or I was trying to see, where are they? Where are the lobbyists, the fossil fuel lobbyists? I always heard that in the COP30, even in a previous one, there was some indication that they were even making deals during the COP itself. So I was like, okay, just going to see who they are. And this is pavilion of Saudi Arabia, and these are the countries that produce oil, and they are there present in the COP. And they do have delegations that also speak and negotiate with the other countries. And they are the ones, of course, that they don't want the word fossil fuel to be in the document, or and they push for their own interest. So this is another country, Oman, that they had the pavilion. I attended that talk. I want you to see the panelists. The name of the panelists there is Vice President for Carbon Market, Head of Environment, Petroleum. Those two words together is like, okay. Director of Product and Business Development, CEO. So the title of the talk was Energy Transition from Governance to Industrial Decarbonization. So I'm like, oh, that sounds good. However, what they say we are part of the energy transition. We are using renewable energy for oil and gas operations. We reinvest oil and gas revenues into sustainable projects. So what they were talking about, it was that they were using renewable energy to produce oil. And they were using the revenue of the oil production, oil meaning diesel, petrol, to plant more trees, to protect biodiversity, but they still produce oil. And I'm like, I'm the only one that is seeing this. Everyone was clapping and everyone thought that was a great
Mm.
effort. And I felt very confronted. So I raised my hand and I'm like, I do have a question. I'm like, and I asked them, do you think that we will achieve the 1.5 degree? And second question, do you have plans in your pipeline to produce more oil? Do you have oil exploration in your plan? They didn't answer the first question. And the second question, they say, yes, there is plenty of more oil in our reserves. We are blessed with this resource. The word blessed, it was also confronting to me. And they show no intention to stop. And I was like, okay. And this is happening. I'm in the COP. It's 50,000 people around me that we are all working with the same goal, but clearly not these guys. So interesting to see. They also say that they were getting a lot of pressure from different countries, and they are writing reports, carbon footprint reports with the scope 1 and 2. Very good, because scope 1 and 2 is how they produce the oil, and that's great. It's looking great. They are aiming even to get to net zero, but this net zero operation. So I feel like they were playing a little bit with the carbon accounting, and I didn't feel comfortable about that. So I thought it was important to share that with you.
Daniela, can I ask something? Were you
Sure.
the only person who confronted them with the blatant disconnect
Yeah.
be-
Yes, I
between
was.
their
Yes. I
claims?
mean, this was one session from the 11 days. Maybe there were other people attending that did the same as me, but when I was there, I was the only one. And
Yikes.
and I stay later after they finished, just because in the walls they had different projects. And the Minister of or Energy, no, they don't have a climate change minister, energy minister, he approached me and he's like, very interesting question. I'm like, and I go a bit afraid. It's like, oh, sorry to answer the question. So he was telling me how pressure they are, how good they are doing, the benefits that they are doing with the money that they get from the industry. They don't refer to oil and gas. They refer to resources. So our resource, we're blessed with our resource. We are working towards renewable energy with our resource. Yeah, very
Mm.
interesting.
Oh, Lordy. That's depressing.
So this is a photo of the closing plenary. And this was very cool because this was the last day. It was on a COP supposed to finish on a Friday evening, and this was Saturday around 12:31. And there was final discussion with the final document and the wording, and a Colombian delegate, she objected the approval of the COP30 final deal during the closing plenary. So it was so cool to watch. She interrupted the president of the COP, and she say, "Well, this you say that this is the cup of truth. Uh, we don't see fossil fuel included there. You are not following the procedures of the COP. I raised my hand. You didn't listen, and we were like, whoa, what's going on?" Um, and it was so um, intense, the words that she used to say you are not following the processes, we are speaking out and you are not listening, that they had to put on hold the meeting. They had to stop, and immediately after they stopped the meeting, they had all these assessors going to the president of the COP, and discussing, I don't know, the processes that they supposed to get in place. You could see his face. He was like very worried. It's like, We were already late. This delay in another couple of hours, the discussion, many of the delegations had already left the day before. So there were many people that didn't see that because it's supposed to finish by the Friday before. And again, this was on a Saturday. Yeah, she highlighted that the text did not address fossil fuels, and despite support from many countries. So it was a coalition of countries. The lady from Colombia was the one that speak out, but she's like, and this country is also, Netherlands also supporting, this one is supporting. So that was very cool to see that happening and speaking out. So what I understand, and as a result of that, now in Colombia, there is a roadmap of fossil fuels. Let me just get the word right. Roadmap to phase out from fossil fuels. So that's something that they will do an event on that. They will do a document, but that's outside COP30. So that's another learning for me, that there are many things that are not, when they are not agreed in the COP30, they can do something outside the United Nations and it's still happening. So Colombia is still discussing about our roadmap, how to phase out fossil fuels. And the same countries that didn't agree that day, they are now helping Colombia to do that. At that particular day, it was the feeling was the disappointment that we didn't go further, that we could achieve much more. But the words of a Brazilian colleague that was working very close to the climate change minister resonate to me. She said, I'm happy enough that I make them feel uncomfortable. And she was referring to the oil and gas producers. She's like, they were uncomfortable today. And that's what I feel like I've done a good job. So that's interesting, because for me, I would have felt very frustrated that I didn't reach what I wanted and I didn't reach a further reduction. But it's a good understanding for me to say that negotiations are things that needs to you need to give a little bit and some trade-offs. And then regardless of what is happening in all this discussion, what I saw outside the pavilions, the businesses, the NGOs, they were doing their actions anyway, regardless of what the countries were discussing. Action was happening anyway, and it was pretty unstoppable. So I came back so positive and so optimistic that people is not waiting for countries or politicians or nobody to just get agreements. I could see many local governments going beyond what the national government is dictating. Even people from US, organizations from US, with the obvious challenge that they have, they just didn't care. They just carry on, and they were doing amazing things. It was a nice showcase of initiatives that I could see there. And this is a photo of one of the projects that stood out for me. That's the Portland team. So they are from US. And it was interesting for me because I thought these guys are from a developed country. So usually developed countries, we don't get much fundings. I could see that fundings were going for all the Latin American countries. They were managing to get offer fundings and grants and many things. But usually for the developed countries, because we are considered rich nations, there is a perception that we don't need the money to implement the projects. I could think many things that I could do with money in the local government, but anyway. So they, what they did, they taxed the businesses in their area, And with that levy or with that tax, they were helping vulnerable communities from energy efficiency, solar panels, planting trees, green spaces, so many things. And they detached that responsibility from the council, and they were working with regional agency. So that was a way for them to detach from the financial part that was not very popular for businesses. And this was voted by the residents. It wasn't a council report, it wasn't a council meeting, it was a referendum that they did, and it was voted, so it was mandated. And they were showcasing this in a pre-COP event that was the C40s World Mayor Summit. That was a week before COP. And that was stood out for me, one of the best local government projects that I could see. And that's me. That's all the photos that I have prepared today. So I'm happy to answer any questions or get your thoughts or comments.
Great, Daniela. That was very interesting and I think very provocative of questions. So now, happily, I can see many faces on the screen, and you merely need to put up your hand or possibly just call out the people whose faces aren't on the screen. You'll either need to, I don't know if the little yellow hand will show, but find some way of chipping in if you want to. So let me see if anybody is indicating. Oh, Lindsay is.
Lindsay.
Go
I
ahead,
said
Lindsay.
cheerio to everybody, but it was too interesting, so I've stayed. Thank you, Daniela. My question is on the very last item. Very interesting what happened in Portland. Do they have some legislation there that gives such referendums immediate weight? Or is it already a legislated process, or is it a thing where the citizens' own initiative carried the day, regardless of that? Do you know?
Yeah, what I don't know what I understood when I asked that, because I asked them, how did you manage to get this approved by your council? How do you manage to tax the businesses? That would be very challenging in back home. And she say there were some community groups that they got signs and signatures, and they got a number, an important number, so then they could trigger this referendum that was the population or the residents voting. So I can investigate more because I got their contacts. Not sure if we can implement that over here, but it would be worth to explore.
Okay. Right. Fiona, go ahead.
Kia ora. Thank you for an amazing presentation, Daniela, and thank you for your positivity about the impact that COP can have. It's great to know that being part of that community is so powerful. And yeah, sometimes if you don't get the insiders information, it can feel, you can get a bit cynical about it because it feels like nothing happens.
I know. I
I
hear you.
guess my question is, and I don't want to be too negative, but how does COP deal with the issue of 50,000 participants and the emissions required for everybody to get to and from these meetings, which are not insignificant?
Yeah. When I was in a meeting here at the council a month ago, when I arrived, the way that I was introduced, it was, Daniela, welcome back after you have been all over the world traveling and producing your carbon footprint. Welcome back. So I know, I was like, So I feel like the impact that I could have now after attending that event, after networking and learning how other countries do mitigation projects, is way over my carbon footprint. The learnings that I got and the impact that I can cause now in Nelson and in New Zealand are way bigger. So for me, it was worth it. I'm not perfect, and nobody is. Everyone have some other areas where you can offset your emissions, but it's definitely something that everyone attending the COP consider, because we all work for the same goal, right? But I feel like the impact of being there will help everyone to keep motivated and to get way more reductions.
Thank you. That's great.
Lindsay. Oh, sorry, Fiona. Lindsay.
I'd just like to respond to what Daniela said, because she's so right. When James Shaw went to the Glasgow COP and David Seymour called him out for his emissions, and I did a calculation and made the point that if James Shaw got 10 people to switch to EVs, that would offset his emissions. So good on you, Daniela. Don't let anybody talk you down on that. Thank you.
While others are thinking of what they want to ask Daniela, may I just ask you about the future of COPs and the difficulty posed by the extremely well-funded fossil fuel interests and as you've pointed out, nuclear power interests, who clearly have a really powerful presence at the COPs and presumably influence some aspects of decision making. I'm not necessarily expecting that. Excuse me a second. Please be quiet, girls. Sorry. Do you have any knowledge of thinking about how to have councils of parties that are not under the powerful influence of these extremely well-funded groups?
So one thing that I found very interesting and good for local government is that this COP30 was the first time, from what I hear, that they were starting to talk about local government involvement. So previously, these negotiations were done at this level, right? The national level. And then we as a local government, we were mandated of whatever was decided here. But they realized that it's us as a local government that we are implementing whatever was decided. So we need to be on the table. And I think there was dedicated the first 3 days of the COP to talk about local governments and how we can start influencing more these negotiations, these discussions. And the COP31, it will have a greater presence. So somebody from UN was telling me that was already a topic that they were discussing to include much bigger power in the COP31. So I can see that slowly more participants and more actors that we deal with this climate change issue every day will have more presence, and it will help to offset the balance a little bit more with the other side. Yeah.
Thanks, Daniela. Lindsay.
I'm a one-person question factory here. Picking up on the fossil fuel thing, Daniela, you referenced nations that were there, oil-producing countries like Saudi Arabia and Oman. Was there a strong presence from fossil fuel companies? I mean, 90% of fossil fuels are produced under a national flag, but the other 10%, the Exxons and so on, are pretty big. Were they present as well, or was it strictly on a national basis?
No, I think they were. Didn't see them because they didn't have a stand, but they were there. Mining companies also were somehow classified as fossil fuel lobbyists as well, some of the mining companies. Yes, but they were everywhere. They were everywhere. You just need to look for them. And one comment that resonated to me as well was that a person being part of the delegations, she said that they were very well prepared. So delegates from these countries are very well prepared. They know the rules. They know the specific clause, what to say, how to get around, how to change your document at the last minute when you are super tired. They changed that. They're young people, full of energy and very well prepared. So it's they're not easy to defeat, but yeah, not impossible.
So you're saying that they actually have tricks they know to get them into a higher grade of participation.
It's just that they know very well the regulations and how to deal with the negotiations, with tactics of negotiations.
Yeah, bothersome.
It's fascinating, eh?
Yeah, it is interesting and really important to understand. So thanks for shining a light on some of that. Fred.
Oh, Daniela, this has been an amazing picture from a world view. And I was particularly struck by that map of where people pinned their climate risks or their climate losses, and just the disparity between the global north and the global south.
Yeah.
That was just absolutely striking to see that.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And my question that I just like, there's lots that could come out of this, but one question that I would just like to raise is like, you'll have lots of thoughts about what can be done here in Nelson, and gosh, I'm so looking forward to hearing more of that in the future. But what might you be thinking about, like, how do we shift world consciousness, if you like, and like do this at a local level, because this, that local government level was important at COP, and I really welcome it. Now, like, how do we bring this kind of this disparity in, in the cost of climate change into our local awareness?
Yes, that's a good question. For me, I was looking for particular solutions, like which project I can get back home that I can implement here. And I got a few ideas, but the main thing for me was the optimism to see that whatever the national government is doing, or if that's not ambitious enough, it shouldn't be a limitation for local government. Is that if that's what we want to achieve, be more ambitious. So that's up to our elected members to approve targets, to approve budgets, and to approve all the projects that we need to do to implement. It's good to see that other local governments are pushing harder than what they are being mandated by the national governments. And that's the spirit that I got to when I came back. I'm like, I'm just not going to be bothered if I don't have another grant, or if the government is cutting this budget or this. That's okay. I'm just going to work with what the resources I have and make the most of it. And the other thing that I thought that was an opportunity that it was a missed opportunity for New Zealand. I saw many philanthropic organizations ready to provide fundings to other countries. I feel like the Brazilians were ready, and and probably New Zealand was not that ready to capture all these fundings around the globe. So I'm on it now. I'm looking for fundings from Europe, from even US, that we could use locally.
Wow. I am afraid I'll have to bring this to an end, especially people who may need to get back to work. I think what you said about the importance of the local government level, Daniela, and the emphasis you laid on that, and that apparently future COPs will lay on that level, is really important and relevant for us, particularly those of us, and I think it's just about all of us on the screen, who are members of the Nelson Tasman Climate Forum, as well as Bajong and Leslie Hill, who are part of the Marlborough local efforts. So that alone is really important to understand. Anyway, we are grateful to you for making a huge effort to attend COP30 and for bringing it back to us, to help us get the feeling that we're part of a gigantic national, international or global movement to try to save our biosphere. Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you very much for the invite. Lovely to see you all. And if you want to go deeper in any conversation, I'll be on Thursday in Isle Park. Is that right? Thursday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thursday, Isle Park, 5 o'clock.
Excellent. Nice to see you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Daniela. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Daniela.